Opening in 1966, River Oaks Center would become one of the largest shopping malls in Metro Chicago. It would not be until 1993 that the mall was enclosed, and would remain the largest income generator for Calumet City into the new millennium. But with the rise of internet shopping, River Oaks would die a slow death for 2 decades while the city fought for the owners to reinvigorate the struggling property, finally getting their own plans approved in 2024. Though designed in the layout of traditional enclosed malls, when it opened in October 3, 1966, River Oaks was an open-air shopping center with 2 anchors, a business center, and a large amphitheater in the middle. A color guard and 100-piece band would provide opening entertainment, while Calumet City Mayor Joseph Nowak would give a speech praising the mall, which would bring a 446% increase in sales to the rapidly growing city. The center court amphitheater he gave a speech in would be designed as a hub for the community, providing events, an annual summer concert series, fashion shows, and more. And a time capsule was buried that contained a copy of the mayor's opening day speech and a letter addressed 50 years into the future for the then mayor. Marshall Field's anchor would be a massive 3-story building, while Sears would open their largest suburban store to date at almost 350,000 square feet. Less than 3 months after opening, the new shopping center was noted as having spiked crimes in the city significantly in the form of shoplifters, which the police chief said he would need to hire more officers for. One more serious crime had occurred, where armed robbers had hit both the bank and a restaurant at the shopping center. Before it would even open, thieves stole 10 marble slabs from the Hirsch Clothier's construction site. In 1975, a rash of car thefts were downplayed by the police chief, stating that the average 20 to 25 cars broken into per month were not a bad problem, but he did announce one police cruiser patrolled the parking lot full time. Four years later, members of the police department were charged with operating a car theft ring themselves, stealing cars from the River Oaks lot. An investigation which conveniently would be ended after a year, and insufficient evidence was found, while stressing the former police chief retiring had nothing to do with the probe. While this and numerous robberies would be reported throughout the decade, the shopping center was thriving, with this year's chain the most profitable in the Chicagoland market, pulling in upwards of $75 million annually. In 1982, Carson's would open their 25th store in the region in place of the now vacant Minus department store, which was the smaller third anchor at the mall. This same year, River Oaks would receive an Orchid Award for its landscaping and layout, noting that unlike other shopping centers, it had resisted becoming an enclosed mall. That summer, an 18-year-old boy would collapse while playing in the Friar Tuck Arcade at River Oaks and be pronounced dead on arrival at the hospital. His death would be attributed to playing the game Berserk when he had a heart condition, but noted his heart attack could have come from any physical activity. In 1983, the 6-screen Plitt Theater would expand to add 2 additional screens, making it the largest theater in that chain, which stated their River Oaks location was the most profitable. 3 years later, another 12-screen theater was being considered, which would eventually end up taking over the Plitt theaters, and add 6 more screens scattered into multiple buildings around the property. Since the mid-70s, JCPenney had been trying to get the 4th anchor added to the mall, a plan which would not happen until 1985, when a $15 million expansion to River Oaks would add the first enclosed wing connected to their new anchor, along with the original food court built beneath the amphitheater. With this expansion, River Oaks would be listed as the 117th most valuable property in the entire state, estimated at over $26.5 million. For the Penny's grand opening, visitors could register to win a 1986 Camaro. But again, crime would plague the mall. While still under construction, a man would abduct a woman from the parking lot, drag her into the Penny's building site, and sexually assault her. In 1987, the owner of the Tavern in the Oaks restaurant was sentenced to 3 years prison time for tax evasion the first 3 years the fine dining restaurant opened in the mall. 3 teenagers would be arrested after they were caught spending money from a bank robbery they had committed in nearby Hammond, Indiana, which left one bank teller dead. In early 1988, a fashion consultant would notice 18-year-old Tina Warr working sales at the mall and get her into fashion shows. In just a few months, Tina would win Miss South Suburbia and was in the running for the Miss Black Illinois, though she did not win. While robberies remained a common occurrence, in 1991, as 150 people stood in line to purchase Motley Crue tickets outside JCPenney, a man would grab a rifle from his car and point it at the crowd while telling him he was an El Rucan gang member, and would execute them all after they stopped him from fighting with his girlfriend. Since its first wing enclosure in the 80s, talks of fully enclosing the mall had been discussed, but it was not until 1993 that funding was approved and the project began as part of a joint venture between JMB Properties and Simon Property Group. An additional 80,000 square feet of retail space was also added, which made River Oaks the largest mall on Chicago's South Side for its grand opening in 1994, just in time for the renewed economy. The new food court would open mid-year, while most of the newer shops, including the Disney store, would open around March. Whereas the original basement food court never took off and closed just 3 years after opening, this new food court was a success and held its grand opening with a live show by Lamb Chop, Wandering Clowns, free balloon animals, and a $500 shopping spree contest. Several kids' shows would be planned, with Disney bringing animators to show their work on Aladdin and Pocahontas, and a Bananas in Pajamas show in 1997. In 1998, Simon Properties would take full control of River Oaks, which was noted as being very busy and would continue for the first half of the new millennium. And an annual car show would begin in the mall parking lot at this time. But in a familiar story, the rise of internet shopping would spell doom for the mall, who began to falter, losing many larger tenants, including the movie theater. In 2012, Carson's would shutter, followed by Sears the following year. The mall would change hands several times over the next few years, until purchased by Namdar Realty in 2017. While armed robberies have literally taken place here since the beginning, in 2019, incidents would turn violent, scaring further potential shoppers off.
Cook County prosecutors said Lewis shot 17-year-old Tyrell Wade and 18-year-old Kristen Ross after an argument and a scuffle inside the mall.
The defendant admitted to robbing the victim, Ross's sister, and a physical altercation ensued outside the mall entrance. The defendant walked away and said, just wait right here."
When the group left the mall from a different exit, Lewis was allegedly waiting with a handgun.
this defendant began firing his loaded 9mm firearm at the unarmed victims and witnesses.
Search is on this morning for 3 suspects who shot their way into a jewelry store at the River Oaks Mall in south suburban Calumet City, killing the store security guard.
We're blurring the image of the 57-year-old security guard lying on the floor after those robbers shot him. You can see them using their weapons to break the display cases in order to steal the jewelry inside. All this happens in under a minute, and after they cleaned out the cases, they ran out of the store, stepping over the security guard. Police say they ran to a car and drove off, and the security guard later died at the hospital. Listen as witnesses describe what they saw and heard.
The guy was standing there shooting inside the jewelry store.
It was just like, pow, 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 pow. Immediately that we knew it was gunshots, and they closed the thing. We ran to the back.
Calumet City detectives identified and arrested 38-year-old Max Walker and 38-year-old Frank Adkins. Both are from Chicago, and both have been charged with first-degree murder.
Calumet City has been pushing to redevelop the mall for a number of years. The first plan brought forward was turning the southeast wing of the mall into a temporary casino, while construction on a hotel and permanent casino would be built. However, in 2021, the plan was rejected by the state. In 2020, JCPenney announced their store would close, but 2 months later rescinded this, and the Anchor would remain open. The city, meanwhile, made plans to turn the Sears Anchor into an entertainment center.
Today, wooden boards mark the spot where Sears closed its location here at the River Oaks Center Mall 9 years ago. Now the mayor of Calumet City wants to replace this wood with water, a whole lot of it. River Oaks Roaring Rivers, an indoor water park attached to a rock climbing experience, an arcade, and a hotel. These renderings show the mayor's hopes for the 27-acre property, but the $79 to $100 million project will need approval from City Council.
This is Calumet City's time. We can't turn the corner and say we did not take the chance to do this. We have to take the opportunity to make Calumet City a world-class entertainment destination.
The city already owns the Sears site and plans to sell it to that developer for the project.
Finally, in summer 2024, the city announced they were in plans to purchase the entire mall, but Namdar Realty would up the price from $4 to $7 million.
Calumet City Mayor Thaddeus Jones walks us through the now empty Sears store at River Oaks Mall, one of 2 anchor tenants to abandon the sprawling mall built in 1966. Jones says the mall is deteriorating, businesses are fleeing, and the mall is behind on its property taxes.
The inside conditions, and I've been in the inside, are deplorable.
The mayor is pushing the mall's owners to sell the property to the city or donate it for tax breaks to make way for a 200-acre entertainment complex, including a sports dome, mixed-use housing, hotel, and possibly a casino.
They're playing hardball, and that's expected, but at the same time, they don't have the capital to invest in this kind of mall. It's not what a mall should be.
In a statement, a spokesman for the mall's owner, Namdar Realty, says, "We are remaining committed to the future of River Oaks Center. Our leasing and management teams have signed over a dozen new deals on property thus far this year. We are also taking steps to make any necessary upgrades to the shopping center."
Calumet City Mayor Thaddeus Jones would proceed with the proposal, which would see the mall turned into mixed-use retail, keeping 2 original tenants of Shoe Carnival and Shoppers World, while turning the rest into an entertainment district. Back in 2009, when the Lowe's movie theater would close, the decision to dig up the original grand opening time capsule was made, despite it not planned to be the 50th anniversary until 2019. The inside was that original speech, along with a prediction letter to the current city mayor. The letter theorized that River Oaks Shopping Center would bring great changes to Calumet City, which was at that time transforming from an industrial city to retail center. And, while looking at the mall today, one may get a sense of irony from that, the prediction actually was true for a number of decades, as River Oaks drew in shoppers from the surrounding area, being the major tax revenue for the city in that time. But the world of business doesn't survive on nostalgia, and the city leaders have tired of their once crown jewel wasting away. River Oaks spent the first 24 years of operation as an open-air mall. Now, after operating for 30 as an enclosed mall, will the return to its original state be the shakeup it needs to continue?